Hey guys, it's Hannah and welcome back to the Dyslexic Reader. Today I kind of had an idea of just having a chatty video, but I didn't know in my head what I wanted to talk about. And I also thought that what better time than in lockdown to go through and to catalogue some of the books that I have on my shelf and organise my Goodreads a wee bit. So I thought I could kind of tie the two in together. Maybe we'll see how this goes. So I've got my phone. I'm sure the majority of you use Goodreads, know how Goodreads works, and you can just scan the books in and organise them. And I have had a shelf for a long time of own to read books. So books that I own on my shelf but are unread. And I have not updated it in a long time. And in fact, there's probably some on here that I have either just got rid of because I have no longer an interest in reading them, or I have read them and DNF'd them so they were never marked as read or something like that. So I probably should go through after this as well, and there's probably a few to weed out. But I think I probably have gotten a lot of books since this was last updated. So I'm just going to go through. I'm not going to do series because I don't like having if it's a 10-part series, I don't want to have 10 books on my... Now, this is going to look weird on camera, I'm sure, but a little baby spider just fell down, so I'm going to catch him and put him outside. Okay, spider taken care of. For those of you who don't know this, my reading room is my attic, which is converted, so it gets very hot up here, hence why the sun is blaring in because the window's open, because it's hot, and you can probably hear road noise because the window's open, but also we are prone to getting spiders and bugs up here because it's the attic. So, as I was saying, I'm going to go through, pull off all my unread books, scan them and make sure they're in while I chat to you guys, but I'm not going to do my series because I don't want to have... Look at that beam of light, she is really just cutting through here. I don't want to have the whole series on my... So, for most of my series, I just put the first in as unknown to read so that when I look at my shelf I can see all my reading possibilities, and at least the series are represented in some way. But I think the majority of them are already on that. So you are going to have to, unfortunately, probably look at the back of my head for a lot of this because I don't want to cut it out because the whole idea is that it's a chatty video. So Coraline I've read, Life of Pi is on my list because I was looking at my list before. I've had that for ages and I read it. The Circle I've read, Autumn I've read. Eve Green. I do not believe... I'm not going to make you watch me put them all back on the shelf. I'll do that when you guys are gone. So, scan. Yep, it's not on any of my shelves, and I'll move it to Own to Read. And this following the loss of her mother, 8-year-old Evie is sent to a new life in rural Wales. With a sense of being lied to, she sets out to discover her family's dark secret. I'll not go any further than that. I'll not read you the synopsis of everything, but this always caught my eye, but I just have not gotten round to it yet. The Twining I've read, Between Assassinations, is on the list. I'm going to have to remove all my knickknacks as I go. This is a little... I should remember who bought me this. Somebody... Maybe my boyfriend bought me this for Christmas about 10 years ago. Who knows? This I've had for ages as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Essex Serpent is already on here, but let's scan it and see. This is just... It's actually not on here. So that shows you how long I have not updated this shelf for. This, I know very little about it, although that it was highly recommended and acclaimed at the time. It was always right at the front of Waterstones and big bookshops, and it's historical, which normally isn't my jam, but when I saw it in the charity shop for 50p, and it's also gorgeous as well, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the snake's all foiled, it is a really pretty book. When I saw it at the charity shop for 50p, I thought I couldn't pass it up. This and this are from the same, not series, but collection as Evie Green, so I don't believe that these will be on the list either. This is Purple Hibiscus. I never get the flower name correct. And this is part of the Perennial collection. Yeah, this isn't on my list either. I don't even know why anyone would be watching this video, but 15-year-old Cambili lives in fear of her father, a charismatic yet violent Catholic... Not going to try and pronounce that word, it looks really long and complicated, but I'm sure I assume he's in the Catholic Church, who, although generous and well respected in the community, is repressive and fanatically religious at home. Sounds interesting. All these I got these 3, and they're part of like the same series, that if you had them all, they would join up and make like a beautiful like continuous piece of artwork, which I think is great. I believe I only have the 3. I got these at a local like take one, leave one book swap thing. And this is Bel Canto. Kidnappers storm an international gathering hosted by a poor Latin American country to promote foreign trade. Unfortunately, their intended target, the president, has stayed at home to watch his favourite soap. The takeover settles into a siege, bringing together an unlikely assortment of hostages. And then it goes on to include all the types of people. So, again, just 3 books that sounded interesting and not necessarily up my alley, but they're all like award winners and acclaimed, so I thought that would be good. Jonathan Strange, Miss Nightwalker, Charlotte's Web, and Underground Railroad are all on there. I'm not sure about these. This is not technically a series. It is my Agatha Christie collection, which I've owned and read most of her books, but mostly like from the library. I've owned them and passed them on and stuff, but that was like a collection, like a box set I bought of all her best known. But I don't want to put them all in, and also I know they're there. It's a whole collection, so I don't think they need to come in. So that's done with like the orange yellows to slightly purples, because this is like my bad attempt at like a rainbow shelf, just for, I don't rainbow everything, because I have obviously black and whites here, and then these are small paperbacks, and then I have hardbacks and all in different places and series, and they're not. So these are just standalone standard size paperbacks that I rainbow. Red, this might not be on it. I'm trying not to knock down my rubbish handmade bunting either. At the time that I made with, well, perler or hammer beads, whatever you decide to call them. Yeah, the 6th man. Oh, this is the 5th in a series. This was an early charity pickup. Hopefully I don't have to read the other pre-5. I'll have to look into that actually. Make sure that, but it's, I think probably David Baldacci's like a thriller writer, so I would say it's like the same detective or whatever, but when it comes to like the case, you'll probably be able just to like read them on whatever. So let me know if anyone has read any of David Baldacci or any of the Sean King and Michelle Maxwell. This is apparently the 5th one, but do I have to read them in order? Would I be losing out? So maybe that was a bad. Those are on it, that's red, that's on it. Don't believe this is on it. Those other 2 bottom ones are. See, even though it's been like years since I've updated this, I haven't read that many books. Or I haven't, no, this isn't on it. I haven't bought that many books, because I don't buy that many books anyway, but most of the books that I have bought, I have already, you know, read and passed on, and they never even got to be on this poor GoodRead shelf. This is the Shadowmancer. It takes you to a world of suspense. So our main character is a sorcerer who is seeking to control the highest power in the universe. He will stop at nothing. The only people in his way are Rala, Kate, Thomas, and the mysterious Jacob Crane. Packed full of history, folklore, smuggling, epic battle, young and old, thrill, suspense, danger guaranteed. It's just like a middle grade fantasy. But someone told me when I like hauled this or talked about it, like in a like a want to read video, that it was like did someone like who write like Rick Riordan or one of the big like middle grade writers like cited this as like an inspiration for one of their works. I can't remember who told me that. Somebody did. This is new, so this is definitely not on the list. This is The Muse by Jessie Burton. I read what's her other adult historical fiction, The Dollhouse, or The Miniaturist. I read that and really liked it, and my friend Susan told me that she had read this and it was also really good, but she wasn't really sure it was up my alley. And again, saw it for 50p in a charity shop and couldn't say no. So this is, again, another historical fiction set in the 60s in London, and I believe it's like, there's maybe like another story even like more historical, like in the past to that, which also ties into it somehow, but other than that, I don't really know. The tagline just says, "A picture hides 1,000 words." So I thought for an artist that I like, that's that picture giving me artist. For an author I liked, that's in it. I would give that a go. Here's my little dog cat thing that I got from my granny's, and I can't work out if it's a dog or a cat, but I kind of love it. I'm not going to put any of those on. That's another Diane Jones, but again, that's kind of like a collection more than a series. Okay, so that's all like their rainbow books done. So these are my small, but some of them are really chunky, but smaller. So this is like a standard paperback, and then all these ones are like the smaller size. This one, again, was like 50p in a charity shop, so I don't, well, I know a bit about it. It's an epic fantasy, and I do remember Googling this one to make sure that it's either a standalone or the first in the series. I remember Googling it to make sure, because charity shop fantasies are always like number 7 out of 19, and you're like, no thank you. And this is just, it seemed to be well reviewed, and it was either the first or a standalone, I can't remember, and it's just a big chunky fantasy, which I am always here for. Okay, so this is the Rift War Saga. Okay, and then it seems to be, so this is like the first and second book together. But it looks as if, like, that's one part. So 1 and 2 are Magician Apprentice and Magician Master, and this is both of these. And then the 3rd and 4th one are called Silverhorn and A Darkness at Silverhorn, and I think they're connected and in like the same world, but not necessarily like the same series. Do you know what I mean? So this is the first 2 books together, which is like the one storyline, and then the other 2 books are same series but like a separate storyline, or maybe set in the future or something, I don't know. But I have a couple of things that I'm reading at the minute, and I'm like, I want to read this and this and this and this and this. But see, when I finish that, I've been really in the mood for like a big chunky fantasy, because I've been reading so much, because what else is there us to do? And for those of you who don't follow me on social media, it's all linked down below. I was sick, so I spent over two weeks in bed. So, and even now, like, I can't really do anything. I'm up and about, but that's about it. And so I've been like flying through books. So like a big chunky fantasy. I would love to just have a book that I'm on for like more than like 2 or 3 days. Do you know, like a big, something that would keep me well fed for a while. Those are on it. This probably isn't on it either. Again, good, big, beaten up, cheap, second-hand fantasy novel. What's not to like? And normally I do check these, so hopefully these are all first in the series. This is first in a series at least. Not a standalone, but we can deal with that. Did I bring my other book up here? Because a book just came in the post today, and it obviously has to be added to the list, but I don't know if I brought it up with me. So, can we get a synopsis? Librarian note. I need a synopsis, GoodRead. Well, I suppose the synopsis is on the back of the book. Why am I looking at GoodReads? One man, Richard Cypher, holds the key to the fate of the 3 nations of humanity. But until he learns the wizard's first rule, his chances of succeeding in his task are slim, and his biggest problem is admitting that magic exists. And this is over 700 pages, and the words is teensy. So hopefully that would take me more than a couple of days to get through. So tell me how, so when you go into the series on GoodReads, the series is Sword of Truth. Number 1 is The First Confessor, which is not this. Then we have Dead of Bones, which is 0.5, and then The Wizard's Rule, which is this, which is also number 1. But it does say the Legend of Magnus series after that other first one. So I think that GoodReads has made a boo-boo there. So this is 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wow. 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 15 of these, and the last was published in 2015, and they're kind of like every year, so I would say that's probably the end of it. If this is really good, and my library don't have them. I could be trying to find those cheap second-hand. That would be a great quarantine binge if they're good. Right, where was I? Over here. That's on it, that's on it, that's red, that's on it. That's on it, and they're all red. That's on it, and that's on it, and that's on it, and that's on it. And those are on it. So the only one on this pile that I think should be on it, but I'm unclear about. Another big chunker. Why are the wee books always like 1,000 pages long and the big books are like 200? Surely it would make sense to make these bigger. Aha, it's saying that this is a second in the series, but I don't believe it is. Yeah, it's not. Because Harlequin is the first book and Vagabond is the second. So again, this is the first and second book together. But when I scan it on GoodReads, only the second book is coming up, because according to GoodReads, the first book is not called Harlequin, but according to this book, it is. So that's interesting. I wonder if it was published under different names in different countries. Well, this is by Bernard Cornwell, who is a known like historical fiction fantasy, I guess. It's not fantasy because it's not magical, but do you know what I mean? Like not historically accurate historical fiction. When Thomas of Huckton's village is sacked by French raiders, he makes a promise to God to retrieve the relics stolen from Huckton's church. Okay, so that's the first one. And then the second one, yeah, having survived the Battle of Crecy, Tommen is sent on a royal mission back to England. So it's the same characters. It definitely is the first and second book. The second book is definitely called Vagabond. The Grail Quest is the series, and Harlequin, according to my book, is the first in the series, but according to GoodReads, it's called The Archer's Tale. Yeah, and the synopsis is the same, so it's definitely the same. Let's see if we type into Goodreads Harlequin by Bernard Cornwell and see what we get up. Have you all been having nice weather? We've been having lovely weather, but as I've said, like, it's only been a couple of days since I've been out of bed after over 2 weeks, so and we don't have a garden, so I can't even really. Yeah, Harlequin #1 in the quilt. There she is, but just the first part and not both parts together. Now if we click on this series link, yeah, it still says the first one's called The Archer's Quest. So again, I think another possible mistake by GoodReads. So and they don't have like a 1-2, like they do not have this book, like the 1-2 combo. So I am just going to put that Harlequin, the first book, in as my 2 reads. I don't know what it is. This has turned out to be more hassle than I originally thought. That's all that, no, because there's these ones. And these books over here are not hardbacks, but they're the size of hardbacks. Or just not the size of regular or small books, they're bigger. So, let's see what we have. This I have been wanting to read for ages, and it lay in my caravan for ages, because I was like, the raw shark texts. That would be a good beach read, and then it lay there so long, I was like, no, I really want to read this. If I bring it home, I'm more likely to get at it sooner. Yeah, it's not on my to-reads either. Well, it is now. What an odd shape book. So, like, here's like a normal paperback. It's like broader and taller, but like just a bit. And it's not even, I don't even believe it's like indie published. Which is normally the case for like these odd size books. And I got this in a charity shop for like £1 or something. So if you don't know as well, I have like a real fascination with sharks. Terrified of them, probably one of my biggest fears, but also so fascinated by them. Like, love Jaws, shark documentaries on like every streaming platform. I've watched them all like 10 times, really interested in them, but terrified. There's bound to be a word for that. But first things first, stay calm. If you're reading this, I'm not around anymore. Take the phone and speed dial 1. Tell the woman who answers that you're Eric Sanderson. This woman is Dr. Randall. She'll understand what has happened to you and will be able to see you straight away. Take the car keys and drive the yellow Jeep to Dr. Randall's house. If you haven't found it yet, there's a map in an envelope. It isn't too far and it's not too hard to find. Dr. Randall will be able to answer all your questions. It's very important that you do it straight away. Do not pass go, do not explore, do not collect £200. The house keys are hanging from a nail on the banister at the bottom of the stairs. Don't forget them. With regret, and also hope, the first Eric Sanderson. So tell me that does not just sound intriguing. It's written like a letter, like that's the blurb, and the pages are all kind of worn as if it's been like at a beach or like near water, or like as if someone's made this notebook like by hand and like put all the instructions down in it. So that, I think that'll be a really submersive read, but I really do want to hold off and read it at the beach, but it probably has nothing even to do with the beach. But there we go, it's just the shark in the title that gets me. This one is again taller than a normal paperback, but, well, it's not really skinnier, it's about the same size. This one, I believe, is independently published. Searching, there it's coming up, but it is not on my reads list. Okay, so this is Uncle Petros and Goldback's Conjecture. And if I believe correctly, from memory, it is about a mathematician. Uncle Petros is a family joke, an aging recluse. He lives alone in the suburb of Athens, playing an odd game of chess and tending to his garden. That sounds pretty good to me, sign me up. If you didn't know better, you'd surely think he was one of life's failures. Nah, like that, he sounds like he's doing okay. But his young nephew suspects otherwise, for Uncle Petros, he soon discovers, was once a celebrated mathematician, a mathematician brilliant and foolhardy enough to stake everything on solving a problem that has defied all attempts at proof for nearly 3 centuries. Goldback's Conjecture, which I'm sure is an actual mathematical problem, I'm just not smart enough to have heard of it. And underneath is like the same kind of spirally design, but it's more... well, it's obviously orange in colour. I'm not sure if that is actually the colour it should be, or the book has been so... it looks as if it's purposeful. And it's like the same stir case. Which is weird to me that there is a dust jacket on a paperback. I understand like the little flappy things on the inside maybe, which I hate because they're awkward to read with, but I can understand them. But a dust jacket on a paperback seems a bit bizarre to me. And this one, I don't even know why I'm picking that up, because that is definitely on the list. I saw it earlier, and I've just knocked over my little Epcot ear hat that lights up, and you can't see it because of the sunlight, but it lights up. Okay, because apparently I reviewed Tic Tacs, knickknacks as well. Okay, so this was meant to be like a black to white with like the creamy greys in the middle, but rules were just lost at some point, so this is just this shelf. I'm going to switch around so that you can see like the other side. Excuse me while I reposition myself, but I'm not editing this video. So this is standard sized paperbacks, but that obviously don't fit into the rainbow because they're black, white, or cream or grey or something. And then over here we have a couple of series that just do not fit on the series shelf. And then we still have to go through all our hardbacks. So we really need to get going here. Okay. And then I'm going to have to put these all back. This is going to be my whole afternoon. Okay. Ursula K. Le Guin. This was part of these. Like, I had to buy another book to, like, make it up because it was, like, 3 for £5 or something. Come on, GoodRead. You can scan a popular book. What do you mean no book found? And I've just heard good things about Ursula K. Le Guin as an author, and I want to check out her work. And also, well, we've seen I've been wrong before in this video, but I think this is a standalone, so good place to start. What good is power when you're too wise to use it? Ged enters wizard school to learn the rules of magic. Headstrong and naive, he accidentally unleashes a terrible shadow creature into the world. To correct the balance, he must face and destroy the shadow whatever cost. Ged's, or is it Jed with a G, quest takes him to the farthest corners of Earthsea, a land of fearsome dragons, jealous wizards, darkness, and light, where he will meet his destiny. And I think Earthsea is like, not a series, but like I was saying, like it's all set in the same world, but I don't think it's a continuous storyline. So I think this is an okay place to start. Let me know if I'm completely wrong. This was again another, I had to pick another book for some reason, or if it was like a free swap and this was the only one I could find. I've had it on some TBRs in the past for readathons and things, and that's The House of Sand and Fog, and it was an Oprah Book Club, obviously, and every time I read the synopsis it sounds interesting to me, and then when I get round to like possibly reading it, I don't know, something puts me off it. In this riveting novel of almost unbearable suspense, like that sounds good, 3 fragile yet determined people become dangerously entangled in a relentless escalating crisis. Like that sounds good. And then it goes in to name like the 3 people and how they all get intertwined in this story. But like I don't know why I wouldn't want to read this. So it hasn't been taken off the list. These are all, they're all on the list or read. I'm gonna have to move my little creatures over. We've got a little spinning wheel, squirrel, rabbit, the 3 fairies, a too good cake because the cake is messed in the movie, and Aurora we access here. Right, Lyslin Poe is red. Northern Lights, I believe, is on it. Tobin and Me is red. Too Close to Comfort is on it. The Night Circus is on it. I don't believe these 3 are. So let's just scan them and check. This is A Nation by Terry Pratchett. Oh, it is on my shelf. I've just never read Terry Pratchett, and Discworld scares me because there's so much of it and I don't really understand how you're meant to read them. So this is a standalone by Terry Pratchett, so I thought if I wanted to get introduced to his work, good place to start. I'm gonna have to try and scan the front of this because the barcode is covered by a really sticky sticker which just won't come off. And that's not the right book unless you've scanned the right book in a different language, but this is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and it is a really, really popular thriller. Again, it was like 50p in a charity shop. Thrillers used to be my favourite thing to read. They're not anymore. But I'm certainly not against them. I just find that after many, many years of reading them, they became too samey. It was what I binged as a teenager, but now I'm kind of past that. But it always feels comforting sometimes to go back to them. They're good holiday reads and stuff. So at 50p, I'm such a well-known one. I've never read anything by this author. It was one that I picked up knowing that I will get to someday and probably at least not hate. Then Noughts and Crosses by Malorie Blackman, which is the first in a series. I don't know how many's in this series, let's check. Knife Edge 2, 3, there's 4, 5? Man, I thought there was only 3 and then I was like 4 and I was like, there must have been another one. The problem, do you see there was a big jump in the years. So this, I remember this being about when I was a teenager. It was published in 2006 and then couldn't have been published in 2006 because the second one was published in 2005. But anyway, around early 2000s, and then the next ones were, but then the 4th one wasn't published till 2009, and then the 5th one wasn't published till like a year or 2 ago. So I would have been way out of like the YA scene by 2009. So yeah, this is just a YA book that I remember being really popular when I was that age, but I never read, and when I saw it cheap I thought why not pick it up and give it a go to see what all the fuss was about all those years ago. And I believe that's that. Shelf done. Okay. My mug of bookmarks, some of which are horrendously wonky, but what are you gonna do? Okay, with these ones, I have no idea what is and what isn't on the shelf, so it's going to be touch and go. But I know those two, you can't even see really what I'm pointing to. They have been read. Gulliver's Travels, I'm not sure has. Again, this was like a free take a book, leave a book situation, and Gulliver's Travels is not a book that I have ever read. It's also slightly interesting, which I didn't know until I had got it home and I was kind of just looking at it. You know the way you look at books for a couple of days when you get them. This particular edition is edited and introduced by Colin McKelvey, illustrated by James Millar, and it has like unpublished manuscripts and like amendments and notes and things. But if you go to the front page, it was obviously given to someone as a gift in this red writing, which I can't make out. And then in July of 77, the 4th of July, it says, for Gareth Parry with best wishes from Colin McKelvey, who is the guy who edited and introduces the book. So that was kind of interesting when I got it home. Okay, those two are both on it. This book is like a big bind up. I don't really want that on the list. That seems weird. The Talent Thief I've read, Miranda Part I've read, Dorian Graham I've read. That is on it, that is on it. I don't believe The Historian is on it. So we'll double check. The Historian, this was quite a I feel like this was in like my most recent haul, which I've bought books since and then just never done a haul video. Because I just buy like one here, and they always get lost before, well, not lost, but like integrated into the system before I have a chance to like haul them. So this is incredibly heavy for whatever reason. It must be like really densely paged. So it looks like a 500 page book. How many is there? There's closer to 700 pages in it. It's like really densely like paged, and it feels incredibly dense. So, late one night, exploring her father's library, a young woman finds an ancient book and a cache of yellowing letters, addressed anonymously to my dear and unfortunate successor. Her discovery plunges her into a world that she never dreamed of, a labyrinth where the secrets of her father's past and her mother's mysterious fate connect to an evil hidden in the depths of history. And it's somehow linked with Dracula, rather the actual Dracula myth, or whether it is the work of Dracula and how it came about. I don't know, but it sounds really interesting to me. Hightower's on it, the Cuckoo's Calling's on it, Carnival is on it, but whether Mayhem by Miss Sarah Pinsborough is there or not. And this is the last one. They're both the same, so I'm going to say it's this one. And it is indeed shelved, so that is on the list. Right, so that's it. I'm not going to put my series in. I think that most of them are on there anyway. Like the first in the series is on there. A lot of my series I'm like halfway through, and that would just be like a whole other mess. But that is now done for like a good while. Oh, my other book that I said that I brought up. Did I bring it up? Now we can shelf the book that arrived in the mail today. This is The Rats by James Herbert. I do have another James Herbert, The Jonah, which I only bought because my brother's name is Jonah, and it's about smugglers and pirates, so I thought it would be another like good beachy read, and it's something that I don't normally read, so I like to branch out sometimes. But this I saw, someone posted this on my Instagram, so if you're mutual, like, let me know, because you recently read this, and I was like, I love books about rats, and I didn't know that James Herbert was such a well-known kind of like, I'm not sure if you would call him horror, but like chilling fiction writer, and this is a horror about rats, and rats, any kind of rodent, anthropomorphic is good too, or just regular. Anything set underground, which most rodent stories are. Love it all. Incredibly odd genre to really love. But I just do. Own to read. And that's that. So now I have to put all my trinkets and books back on the shelf in their correct places, and then I'm going to try and upload this video today. I'm not going to edit it. If you've been watching it up until this point, you know that, because I just do not have the time, motivation or desire to do so. But I hope you're all happy. I hope you're all healthy. Please stay safe and stay well, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video, which will probably be my April wrap up next week. Fingers crossed I have the time and motivation and inclination to film that one. But until then, as I said, stay safe, stay healthy, and talk to me down in the comments, and I will see you later. Goodbye.